want to talk about something, start a little different. Let's talk about the important and benefits of educational opportunities in Anderson County, because we've got both Anderson County with Anderson University and Tri-County Tech posting record numbers of students this year, and Clemson is adding students every year. How key is having those places for both the economy and for economic development?
It's very important for economic development because Clemson is an engineering school. That's very key for the industries that are coming in here now, because they have people that they can hire that aren't far away. They can also have apprentice programs and internship programs that are real easy to do because you're not traveling hundreds of thousands of miles. Now, sometimes you do want to go off if you're at, in a university and go to another place and see that. But, that's really handy to have that, not only for Clemson, but for AU, and also with Tri-County Tech and the technical training that they provide. And they're fixing to add some more training here at their Anderson campus. We're really excited about that. And we're really excited about Tri-County Tech moving their automotive facility, automotive training, to Anderson County. They're doing a new master plan for the Anderson campus of Tri-County Tech. So they have great plans for our area, and we're looking forward to that. And especially having that automotive training center right here, because we're going to have some relationships with them. Like the head of our shop, Mr. Stone, is probably going to teach some of those classes, which I think is wonderful, but we'll also be able to take apprentices and put them in our shop. And so it's going to be a great cooperation between our two institutions, which we cooperate with them just about every day anyway. We have the best two-year technical college in the state. Not us saying that, everybody else says that. The records prove that. You have Clemson University, one of the top public universities in the United States, and you have Anderson University, one of the top four-year liberal arts schools in the whole Southeast. I mean, there's not anything lacking. But then when you drop down to the vocational and technical training that you could get at School District 1 and 2 and at the AIT for Districts 3, 4, and 5, I mean, we've got it completely covered just about in every way you can go. So you can get trained to learn how to do something that pays very well in Anderson County, and you don't have to travel very far to do it. And in a lot of cases, you don't have to pay anything to do it. So we're blessed with that. We just moved the Clemson Extension Service to 1428 Pyramid Road, and they're going to have a brand new office and a brand new location, which we think is going to really help power their 4-H program. And we're also looking forward to having them in that building with the county employees, because we think there's going to be a symbiotic relationship that we can take advantage of their skills and they can take advantage of our skills. So I think it's going to be good for both organizations and allow us both to do more. But we work partner right now. We rent space from Anderson University where we have our emergency management area. We do something with Tri-County Tech every day. When we recruit an industry, Tri-County Tech is right there with us. Anderson County pays half of the Tri-County Tech budget. Oconee pays 25, Pickens pays 25. So we're doing something with them just about every day. They're also training emergency medical personnel. All of these things we do together, and we work and collaborate out at 1428. Tri-County Tech has office space there, and they also have space for a business incubator. And so they're there with us doing economic development at the same time we're doing it. Their asphalt research lab is located out at 1428. So we're all kind of intermingled, and that's what I think helps us be successful, because we don't really have boundaries. Like, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. We're all just tangled up in a big old ball trying to help each other with the one goal of making Anderson a better place.
And that idea of cooperation and partnerships spills over to how the county works together with the townships to make sure that they have their needs and goals addressed, right?
Well, we're doing, our planning department's doing comprehensive plans for our towns, those that request it. And what does that do? It saves those towns a whole lot of money, plus it's by trained professionals. We have a very professional staff. You don't have to go somewhere and hire a consultant to do that. We're doing that for you because you are in Anderson County, and even if you're in a town, you're still in Anderson County. We also provide consulting help. We help them with grant writing. We help them just anything they ask us to do. We had some stray property left in Pelzer. Pelzer wanted it. We were able to help them. We get a lot of requests from the smaller municipalities about they need vehicles. So we, when we have surplus vehicles and we have a request from a town, we give those vehicles to the town. There's no charge in it. We fix them up, get them running very well, and we give those to the towns. I think we recently just gave 2 to Honea-Path, and I know we've given several to Belton, and it could be anything from old squad cars to pickup trucks to animal control trucks. So we try to spread what we have to everybody around here. We work on annexations with the town of Pendleton. We're doing a wastewater treatment plant with Pendleton and Clemson. We are working very closely with Piedmont, which is not a town, but it's Piedmont Public Service Commission, on recreation and expanding recreation on that area with the 28 acres that we purchased up there. We worked with Belton on the river access for Belton. We're doing something with the towns every day because they're Anderson County.
In our townships, it's a busy time of year. We're seeing all these festivals and events and things going on. I guess that plays a role. Back to the quality of life thing we're talking about, they see that throughout the county something's going on all the time.
All the time, and a lot of those festivals receive some financial support from the county council. There's a big festival going on in Homeland Park this weekend, and I believe it starts around 10:30 in the morning and goes until around 5. And Councilman Davis and Councilman Dunn have provided financial backing to help make that a success. So that's going to be a big festival on Saturday, and hope everybody comes out because there's going to be a lot of things to see and a lot of things to do.
And that seems that we always circle back around to recreation. And Williamston just opened a new pickleball facility and basketball courts. Been improvements at the Civic Center, Hurricane Park, also added pickleball. Wellington keeps growing and getting used more and more. Belton has improved their recreation. Other towns are looking at expanding recreation departments. And I know you just touched on them. Every county council district is working on a recreation plan.
Yes.
And that, of course, we didn't even mention Green Pond and Saluda River and Dolly Cooper and Kid Venture. But where are those recreation plans in the works?
Some of them have been completed, like for District 1, that's been completed. They're working on one for District 1, Councilman John Wright's district. And what we're trying to do, what council's trying to do is, what do you want? They don't want it to be a top-down, well, we think you need this. There's 18,000 ways to get your thoughts, opinions, and ideas out during these discussions, and they're open to the public, and there'll be plenty of times for people to say, this is what we need. So we're going to take all of those studies done, and we're going to put them together and try to prioritize what we need to do to improve recreation, because people want and are demanding more recreation opportunities every day. That is very important. Quality of life is what matters. It matters when people want to locate here. People say, well, they just come here because of cheap taxes and low wages. Well, taxes are pretty cheap relative to the rest of the country, but our pay scales are rapidly improving. They're bringing quality people in, and our people who live here deserve activities that they can do. And you can go out to the Civic Center any day of the week and you will see it is slam packed with something going on inside that building or outside that building, and it's only going to continue. We are rapidly running out of places to serve people. Bless Williamston for building those pickleball courts over there, because there are not enough pickleball courts to go around in Anderson County. And now we're getting requests from other residents in other areas. We need a pickleball court too. We need a pickleball court too. So that's what the hot item is right now. There are a lot of people in the community are interested in trails, and the East-West Parkway Trail is about to be completed. But what we're looking at, and people are looking at, what we're looking at, and a lot of this is civilian, citizen-driven, of connecting Anderson University to the East-West Parkway. You know, there's a lot of public land between here and there. That might be a possibility. We've discussed last time about the trail from here to Belton that would tie into the Bubblegum Trail. Now, you could hook all that up, and you could go and leave Belton, go up here, hit AU, then go all the way up the East-West Parkway and cut over. And then if we get it to Pendleton and we want to run it to Honea-Path and we want to include Iva, and people absolutely love those trails. Last week, there was an article about these people who paid an astronomical amount of money because the Swamp Rabbit Trail was coming there in 2 or 3 years. And the housing values and those land values automatically went up dramatically because there was going to be near the Swamp Rabbit Trail. Same thing will happen here. It's happened all over the country.
I know you're interested in history and people remembering what's going on in the county, and part of that is remembering those who've devoted or sacrificed their lives. And there are veteran memorials all over the county, and a new one is planned at the Civic Center, plus the firefighter and law enforcement on the square downtown. The museum is about to launch a new major military exhibit.
And I will tell you today that Beverly, who runs the museum and probably could go run the State Museum today and improve it dramatically, and I mean that sincerely, completed her fundraising quest for Veterans at War for the museum, and she has raised thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars for that exhibit. So that's going to be opening pretty quick, and that's going to be stupendous. But she gets a whole lot of credit for raising that money. And I'll put that museum up against any museum anywhere.
Why has so much effort been devoted to these kind of memorials and like this exhibit coming?
Well, it's important to remember the history of Anderson County. It's a unique history. We have our own 250 committee, and every county has them to celebrate the Revolution, 250 years. So we have a group working. Beverly's organizing and helping with that, so we're doing that. And Mr. Rich Otter is writing a history of the Old County Farm, which, if you don't know that history, which it is fascinating, that came about, and I don't want to steal his thunder because he's been talking about it, but there was a provision made by the government to have a poorhouse, and we shared one with Pickens. But then they decided they would split it up, so Pickens got part of the money, and it used to be up there at the railroad bridge in Sandy Springs, LaFrance more appropriately. And so they took that money, Anderson took that money and bought the county farm property. And this is way, way back in time, and I can't wait for his research to be published, and we're going to assist him with that because it's fascinating about what's happened there, and he's uncovered so much information. It's amazing. So. Yeah,
and that's where the Civic Center sits now. People wonder, and the poorhouse that they built is still there and still being used. Not for poor people.
Yeah, but there were other structures there before, and he's found out where they were. He has taken this to the very beginning, and I've had a chance to hear him lecture on it, and we talked yesterday about it, trying to help him plug holes. We're helping him plug holes. We didn't know we had holes because he's telling us this is missing, so we're trying to find it. Everything from airmail service to everything else. So it's great. But people enjoy this, and you know who enjoys this sometimes more than you would imagine? People who just moved here. They want to know the history of Anderson County. Why is Anderson County here? When did it start? Tell me about this. What's this? How's this? And so there's a huge appetite and a huge market for that. And those memorials are to remember what happened here and those who served here. And we're going to continue to do that because we put a major effort in that. That's important to the county government. It's important to our council, and I know it's important to our citizens.
All right, since the last time we met, the city's tentative plans to annex the property along the corner of the East-West Parkway and Concord Road has ended because a longtime Andersonian purchased that property and said he's not giving it to selling it to developers. I know at least one council member has reached out to the legislative delegation to see if there's anything that can be done about city annexing with no serious input from the county. Is that needed, and is it even possible?
I think you would pit the counties and the municipalities against each other in that. And right now, South Carolina still has some of the strictest annexation laws because a city can't jump out and annex somebody without their permission. So the person who owns the property has to request the annexation. Can you do something about the land use? Maybe, but that's probably more along the lines of a county-city agreement rather than state legislation.
But even though they have to have permission, as we're seeing many times, a landowner just has a bunch of pasture land, and all the people who live around it have no input at all that live in the county. They have no voice. They don't have a vote.
They have no voice whatsoever in anything. The zoning that was there, when it goes into the city, it becomes the city zoning. So that's the way that goes. And this council is very reluctant to change any major sweeping changes on areas that voted for the zoning that they wanted. And so that's the primary way you can protect what you have. People have also done, and I know some people, a friend of mine just did the other day, put 160 acres in a conservation bank, never to be developed, up there near Mac Smith's store. He's protecting it on his own. But that's about the only thing you can do. And then you have situations where you have these old farms, and they may have been in the family for generations, but now those people have moved off and they're not coming back. And so they sell the property. They don't have that emotional attachment, or maybe they need the money. You don't know. You don't know. But then they sell that property. It's their property. They sell it. It's annexed. Boom.
Another big move since last time we met is the choosing of an architect for the new Anderson County Detention Center. We talked at length about the need for the facility. It's overcrowded, built in 1956. What's the timetable looking like for completion of plans and then the completion of the center?
County Council received the contract for the architect last night. They're going to review it for the next 2 weeks, make any changes, suggestions, whatever, and hopefully they're going to vote on that contract at the very next council meeting. That will kick off the design process. In the meantime, we're clearing a lot of the old buildings out where the current jail is, getting ready to build the new jail. So they'll sign that architectural contract. That will take care of. Councilman Brett Sanders is over that jail committee, so they're examining that. And then we're moving buildings out there. We're going to give one of the buildings to Department of Natural Resources because they need a classroom. We're trying to find a home for them. Some of the buildings we're going to be able to use out at 1428 and out there. We want to move all those cars out there. We want to clean up that whole area so we'll have a clean slate to build that new jail.
Another issue that people are never tired of talking about is roads. Any update on road work?
Here's the update on road work. We just received a windfall of $8 million that's going to the Anderson County Transportation Committee over and above the amount of money that they usually get. So that's going to help more roads in Anderson get paved. I know Senator Gambrill is meeting with DOT next week to talk about some major projects here in Anderson County. He feels the same way, that maybe we need to be getting a little bit more than we're getting, that maybe Greenville has enough, and maybe Spartanburg and Columbia and Charleston, and we need our fair share. But you're seeing a lot of that, and I know that he set up that meeting for next week with the head of DOT.
Well, and speaking of Mike Gambrill, he still doesn't have Wi-Fi. I saw him today.
No, he doesn't have Wi-Fi.
Said it's going all around him.
All around him, and it's commercial Wi-Fi, and he can't connect to it. So he's not getting any favorable treatment, I can tell you that.
But y'all, council last night just gave a right-of-way for some property for them to continue expanding the high-speed broadband. How's that project overall looking in terms of?
They're out there. They're laying this cable every day. Upcountry Fiber's laying cable every day. AT&T is laying cable every day. Charter's laying cable every day. Everybody's putting it in as fast and as hard as they can. But this is a huge county geographically. And they look to see, at least two of them look where they can get a return on their investment. If you live 2 miles down the road and they're going to run one line to you, you're going to pay for it. Our goal in the county is to assist them to make it economically feasible, especially with our relationship with Upcountry Fiber. We have a convenience center in Townville, and they need a place to put equipment to expand the service capability in Townville. So naturally we said, yes, you can use this land that we're not using, because that's going to help you run fiber faster than you have before. So we're doing every little thing that we can do to help them move along.
Until that project kicked off, though, Spectrum and AT&T weren't laying a lot of cable in a lot of places.
No, but competition is a wonderful American thing. It really works. It really works. And Upcountry Fiber coming into the picture, and they both of those organizations, Blue Ridge Electric and WCTEL, they are co-ops. So they're getting it done. As a matter of fact, their contractor is so busy laying fiber in our area, he's leasing a facility here to move his company here so he can accommodate the work that they're throwing out at him. And really, for the first time, those grants, the much heralded, we're going to get you broadband that everybody ran around saying 2 years ago, here's the money, we got $80 billion. Well, like everything else in government, it's just now trickling out. So you're going to see some rapid expansions because it's just now getting here.
We've already had 2 freezing nights, and they're calling for an extra cold winter. That's not good news for road work, is it?
Never good word. Never good news, because that just makes the roads deteriorate. It just makes them go away. And that's what it does. So hopefully this extra money is going to help us do a little bit more than we have in the past, and encourage SCDOT to do more in Anderson County.
A minute ago we were alluding to tearing down houses. Last night council gave approval to demolish 11 blighted houses in the county, 6 of those in District 2. How many of those houses are there total? Do you know how many's on the list?
Yeah, we probably have about 150 right now off the top of my head. And we council allocated $150,000 this year for demolition of houses. Last night the bid came in around 70, so in addition to those 11, we're going to be able to go out with another list of houses. We also get individual money, and sometimes when we threaten to come and demolish your house or somebody's house, those people will actually go ahead and do it themselves, and so we get more of a bang for the buck. But we need all of those places to go, and what we do is we take the very worst ones. That's what we go after, the very worst ones, which are eyesores, and they should be starting that project today. I've said this 1,000 times, people would rather us demolish an eyesore, an ugly house, than pave a road or anything else we do. It's instant gratification.
And council also approved working with, I think the county's already done some work with this Nehemiah company to rehabilitate some of the housing in distressed areas.
We have, this money is purely federal money. It's about $540 million off the top of my head, and we're going to partner with Nehemiah to build new homes. As you know, we did a massive demolition project that Steve Newton did, and we took down houses everywhere, but we have those lots. And so we're going to partner with Nehemiah Corporation to build new houses. 3 of them will be for rent and 2 of them will be for ownership. But you get in this program and they counsel you, they work with you, and you can rent to own. And that was approved last night. We're really excited about that. We want to see that program expand, and we'll be moving in that direction. But that money is purely federal money. There's no county match involved. It's money to do what that is supposed to do, and we have more of that coming. But these things, we're trying to do a lot of infill. You put something new and drop it into an existing neighborhood, I think you're going to see some improvements. Plus, in some of these areas we're talking about, with the improvements that we're going to do on these old abandoned mills, you're going to see private money coming in, not in the way private money to rehabilitate the mills, but those whole neighborhoods are going to improve because they're going to try to match the quality of that. So we think that's going to be an excellent thing for Anderson.
And the Equinox project will help solve some of the housing problems we're talking about.
Absolutely it will, because it's going to be a mix of apartments and other things, and I think it's going to be a great project, and we're excited to get it going. Council acted on 2 things last night to further that project along.
Any big economic development news on the horizon before the end of the year?
We have more economic development projects coming to Anderson County. Last night they gave approval to a 562,000 square foot building that's going to be up at exit 32. We've got more projects in the works.
And that's for a private company to develop a landing zone for...
Private company. As I've said before, we primed the pump twice, and now we don't have to prime the pump anymore. We have people everywhere coming here wanting to do that.
Does the somewhat uncertain economy, rising interest rates, and a midterm election have any impact on development, or is it just a bigger picture arena?
I think, like in construction, they've already planned what they're going to do for the next 6 months and the next year. They're not here today. They usually have their money locked in and they're fine. But interesting thing about a lot of the companies that are coming here to Anderson, take Hunt Midwest, for example, who owns the Kansas City Chiefs. They don't need to borrow any money. They have their money. And several other companies that we're doing, they are family-owned enterprises, and they're using their own money. So they almost thrive in this group because they don't have any interest payments to make, and they're not borrowing money. Because I've talked to them, they said, well, sometimes it's better to use other people's money. These people don't think that.
Is the fourth quarter usually a hot quarter for development, or is it just
sometimes I can tell you this, sometimes the fourth quarter has been filled with activity that you don't see until the following spring. People trying to get things done, close it out before January 1, and get ready to launch for the next year. But we've also had some people that we have recently told with some big numbers and things like that, but no, we really don't think that we're a good fit for you, because I don't think that would be a good fit for Anderson County.
Yeah, remind people what kind of things y'all are not interested in bringing here. I mean, that's...
Well, we're not interested in a battery plant, I can tell you that, because the first thing they ask you is, how close is that site to a school? Well, that tells me everything I need to know. You're worried about that because you don't want all those kids? Well, that's all right. There are plenty of good places for you to go. And there are places very close by that we said that would be an excellent idea, and We hope you do well, but you're not. We don't need that here in Anderson County.
And just the
'Cause
low,
we don't have
low wage
to.
kind of stuff you're trying to
Low wage, dirty, noxious. We don't need that. We've had that. We just cleaned up the Viva tire site, okay? We've done that. We don't need to do that. Anderson County's better than that, and we don't have to do that.
Before that, we had to clean up all the textile mess.
And had to
And
clean
they're
up
still
all the
cleaning up their
textile
building.
mess.
Well, less than 1 month from the day where we sit, the Anderson County Christmas tree on the square will have the lights on for the season. Any new decorations or anything else new this year?
The elves are working, and I know that they have purchased some new items. Today, we had a meeting, and they will begin the Christmas tree installation Halloween day.
So we're really knocking on the door here right at it.
So
And this year it looks like, if my math is right, it's going to grow to 48 feet. Is that somewhere in that neighborhood?
somewhere in that neighborhood,
47, 48 feet.
somewhere like that.
So that puts us another 4 feet. We still got to get 3 to 4 feet a year to catch up with Rockefeller Center.
Yep. But you got to have a goal. You got to have something to shoot for.
Now the music won't start playing in the tower until after the official downtown
Oh, we might turn it on for Thanksgiving.
or Thanksgiving week,
Yeah.
weekend. Okay. Well, next time we meet, we will be talking about the year in review. So we'll do it then.
Sounds good.